Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here to break down the Week 10 NFL main slate here in DraftKings. A couple of things before I get into the video. We're closing in on 2.1 thousand subscribers now on this channel, so that is just crazy to think about. Again, thank you guys for all the support. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Also, if you're new to the channel, I'm doing a weekly giveaway where all you have to do is leave a like and a comment in the video. It's one entry in the giveaway. Max one comment though per video. It starts with my Monday Night Showdown video that I uploaded at the beginning of the week. We'll go throughout the week and we'll end up my Monday Night Showdown video at the end of the week. So however many videos I've uploaded for the week, you enter the giveaway that many times. So say if I have 10 videos up for the week, enter the giveaway 10 times. And the winner receives a $20 PayPal from myself. But with that out of the way, let's jump in the video. So first, before we get into the salaries here, let's look at the over-unders and the spreads. So, we'll start with Lions-Bears sitting at 41 with the Bears favored by 2.5. Giants-Jets at 44.5 with the Giants favored by 3. Falcons-Saints at 51 with the Saints favored by 14 points. Ravens-Bengals at 44.5 with the Ravens favored by 10.5. Bills-Browns at 40 with the Browns favored by 2.5. Chiefs-Titans at 49.5 with the Chiefs favored by 6. Cardinals-Buccaneers at 52.5 with the Bucs favored by 4.5. Dolphins, Colts at 44 with the Colts favored by 11.5. Panthers, Packers 47 with the Packers favored by 5.5. Rams, Steelers at 44 with the Rams favored by 4. And then that's it. Those are the Sunday night and the Monday night games. So that's it for the over-unders and the spreads. Let's look at the prices here. We'll start a quarterback. At the top here is Lamar Jackson at 7.3K. They have him listed as questionable, just an illness, so I wouldn't be worried about that. It's a really solid match against Cincinnati. They've not been able to stop anyone. We know he just has that. He has such a high floor because of his rushing upside, right? I say that every video for Lamar Jackson, but really he does have a pretty high floor. The concern with this one is, can Cincinnati keep this close where they have to play? They can't just run the ball up the middle every single time. So that's a concern. If Cincinnati can keep this one close, again, Lamar could have a huge day, and he seems pretty safe just because, again, that rushing floor. Mahomes here at 7K, first game back after 2 or 3 games he missed. It's a mediocre match against Tennessee, but this is Patrick Mahomes. It really doesn't matter. He's good to go. We know how dynamic and how great this offense can be with him running the helm. So yeah, you got to consider him. And this is the first slate in a long time that we have had that Mahomes is not the most expensive quarterback. So yeah, you can definitely fire him up here. Again, we know the upside's huge. We know how good this offense is with Mahomes. Jameis Winston in a great matchup here against Arizona. You probably can't get a better matchup than this. I like a lot of pieces in this game. Should be very little defense played in this one. It's just, Tampa Bay, they've been forced to throw a ball a lot here. Last 3 games for Jameis, 54, 43, and 44 attempts. Arizona's defense, again, one of the worst defenses in the league. You got 2 receivers you can pair him with Godwin and with Mike Evans for game stacking or team stacking wise. So I think he's very much viable here at the top. Same thing with Drew Brees, another just great matchup at home against Atlanta. Again, the concern with this one is, can Atlanta keep this close? They have just been terrible, the Falcons. It's a 14-point spread. So there's obviously some concern that Atlanta can't keep this one close, right? But, if they can keep it in striking distance, I think Drew Brees could have a huge day against this defense. And again, you can definitely pair him with a guy like Michael Thomas, who we'll talk about in a bit. But again, the upside is there, and both Winston and Drew Brees are just in literally the best possible matchups here. Aaron Rodgers at 6.6K, I think, goes a little bit under the radar. Again, I think I would prefer those other 2 guys. I think they have a little bit more upside just because of the matchup with Brees and Winston. But if you feel strong about Aaron Rodgers, you can go to Kyler Murray. You guys know how I feel about him. I want to play him every single slate. I just love him. The rushing has been a bit down on him the last few games, but we know it is there. Tampa Bay also not very good defensively, so there should be some points scored in this one. I think he's a contrarian GPP play just because how up and down really he's been, and just how bad that offensive line is. But God, I almost play Kyler Murray almost every slate, so I'm definitely considering him as a GPP play. Stafford is listed as questionable. That will be something we'll have to monitor. Josh Allen against this Buffalo Cleveland game, I'm not super excited about. Should be a slow pace, grinded out game. So not really excited about that. Jared Goff in a somewhat difficult matchup, I think is okay. Matt Ryan's interesting here at 6.1K. I think he goes a bit under the radar. There's going to be points scored in this one in the Dome. the question is, can Atlanta score some points? I think they can. I think the Saints defense they've been solid, but again, I really do think there's going to be points scored in this one. At 6.1K, you get a good discount off of those top guys, and you can definitely pair them again with a guy like Julio. So yeah, I'm definitely considering Matt Ryan here in the mid range. Coming off that ankle injury. Brissett's listed as questionable if he can't go. You can look to Brian Hoyer, but they did price him up here at 5.9K. Again, I just think he's okay, I guess. I would have liked it if he was a lot cheaper. The Battle of New York with Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones are both just okay plays. Again, nothing really sticks off the page. The guy that's interesting here for a cheap play is, where is he? Ryan Tannehill here at 5.1K. 3 straight pretty solid games for him. Over 300 yards in 2 of those 3. And this is a matchup against Kansas City where Tennessee's going to have to score some points to stay in this one. With how dynamic that Kansas City offense is, with how good they are, Kansas City is going to score points. So, like I said, Tennessee is going to have to score points in this one. I don't think they can just hand off to Derrick Henry every play. So, Ryan Tannehill, as a cheap play, I think he's going to be pretty popular, but one of the better cheap quarterback plays, in my opinion. I think he's pretty safe for cash games if you want to go for a cheaper quarterback. Don't mind Fitzpatrick either at 5.2K. Against the Colts, again, kind of a mediocre matchup, but a game that Miami should be playing from behind in. So he's definitely viable. I think I would slightly lean towards Tannehill, but it's close to these 2 cheap quarterbacks. Trubisky against Detroit. Trubisky's just been a mess. I don't know if I want to go there. Kyle Allen, I don't mind the price here also at 5.1K. Been a little up and down, but Carolina does play at a fast pace. The issue with him is they just feed the ball to McCaffrey. They just want to give the ball to McCaffrey like every single play. So that kind of limits his upside a bit. Andy Dalton got benched. You could look to like a Ryan Finley as a cheap option, but that's obviously a risk. We haven't seen him at all this year. Baker, again, that game in general, Cleveland, Buffalo, is just not super exciting for me. So I think that's basically it. So let's move on to running back. And at the top is McCaffrey. So the big question is, are you going to play McCaffrey or not in the slate? I think for cash games, there are some value plays where you can just get him in there. He's out there every single play. We know Carolina just wants to force feed this guy, whether it be on the ground or through the air. It doesn't really matter. They just want to give this guy as many touches as they can. So cash games, I think there are enough value plays on the board. You can get him in there if you want to. I don't think he's a must play because of the price. There are some other running backs, so I do like the price a bit more. But we'll see. I don't really know what the ownership is going to be. Obviously, you can fade him for GPPs. But if you feel like there's enough decent value on the slate, which I think there is, you could definitely jam in McCaffrey there at 10.5. Saquon here at 8.8. Don't know if I want to go there. He is very involved, right? He's game flow independent. It doesn't matter if they're trailing or not. He's out there. So I think he's just like a GPP play for me. Kamara is interesting here at 8.2K. It's literally, again, one of the best possible matchups here. The concern is he's coming back from an injury. We haven't really got any news on whether or not they're going to limit him or not. And they still have Latavius Murray, too. So this is something we'll see. Hopefully more news comes out on whether, what his workload is going to be. If he's going to get a normal workload against Atlanta, you got to consider him here at 8.2K. So again, that's hopefully we get some more news on that later in the week. Aaron Jones with Jamal Williams. I don't want to play backs in a timeshare, at least on this main slate. James Conner's out, so we can look to Jalen Samuels. We'll get to him in a sec. Mark Ingram, not really for me. I know he had a decent night there against New England. He's not involved enough in the passing game. And again, Lamar Jackson will keep it himself a lot. Baltimore does utilize other backs. So at an inflated price point, I'm definitely going to fade there. Nick Chubb, I just don't want a lot of pieces to this game. Cleveland Buffalo seems like a pretty ugly game. Marlon Mack's interesting here at 7K in a game that the Colts should be playing from ahead in. Whenever we can predict the Colts will be playing from ahead, that's when you can target Marlon Mack because he's not really a guy that gets involved much in the passing game. So yes, I think he's very much viable. The downside is, again, on him. He doesn't really get involved in the passing game, so I don't think he has like a huge upside. Now, like a guy like Le'Veon, I do kind of like here at 6.9K just because he does get involved in the passing game a lot. And, he is listed as questionable, they said. That he's most likely going to be good to go here. So that will be something we have to monitor. But, if he's good to go, full workload, then I like the price a lot in Le'Veon. It's just a guy that they want to feed the ball a lot to him. The matchup's pretty decent here against the Giants. So, yeah, if he's good to go, full workload, I do like Le'Veon a good amount. Derrick Henry's just too game flow dependent. I know he had a big game last game. I'll let others chase that. Normally, he doesn't get involved with the passing game. He did have 3 catches. That's very, very rare for him. So, yeah, I'm going to let others chase this big game. I will definitely pass there. Now, Jaylen Samuels is very interesting here at 6.3K. He's a guy that played in about, I think it was 65% of the snaps in that last game. And he had, 13 catches, which is just insane. So, he is still the #1 back. He gets involved a lot in the passing game. He's almost like a wide receiver, so very much in play, someone I'm very much considering at 6.3K. The concern is they do still have Trey Edmonds they will give a little bit of work to, but I still think Jaylen Samuels is viable here at 6.3. Gurley's interesting as well at 6.1K. It's not necessarily the best matchup, but a deflated price point I think is, again, I think he's a very solid mid-range or mid-tier play. Now the Arizona backs, this is like the big question mark on the slate because hopefully we get some clarity before lock on what they're going to do with the snaps here. I think either one of either David Johnson or Kenyon Drake could have a huge game in this match against Tampa Bay. The question is who, and I don't know. Again, hopefully we get some clarity. They could just use both as a 50-50 split. That would obviously limit their upside, but Arizona does really like targeting the backs out of the backfield. So hopefully we will get some clarity. I think as of right now, these guys are only GPP plays just because of the unknown. So, yes, I do like these guys' upside. They're risky because we don't know what the snaps are going to be like. Let's see. Devonta Freeman at 5.1K is interesting here with Matt Ryan back. That's obviously a boost. He's a guy that gets involved in the passing game a lot. So, yeah, I do kind of like him here. A game that Atlanta should be trailing in. So, I think he's very much viable at 5.1K. Singletary is interesting as well. The snaps been going up on him. Got 20 carries last game. He's getting involved in the pass game too. The concern is, again, it's not really the best matchup for Buffalo. But let's see what. I mean, I guess the Browns have allowed the most the most yards per game for rushing defense wise. Total defense is just kind of like a mediocre matchup. It's just what's the over-under here in this game? 40. So they don't predict a lot of points, but at 5K, again, the Browns have actually allowed the most rushing, the most rushing yards per game this year, and he's a guy that's getting involved a lot more. The snaps are going up on him too. What were the snaps last game for him exactly? Let's see. They're at 66%, 68 and 66%. They're still using Frank Gore a bit, but yeah, I'm kind of talking myself in this play. At 5K. They're involving him a lot. They're giving him carries. He's getting involved in the pass game. So, he's very much in play here at 5K. Let's see. The Kansas City backs with Patrick Mahomes now back, you get a huge boost. Damian Williams, LaShawn McCoy. It's kind of a two-headed monster here. Damian Williams had a big game last time. So, if you're going to make me pick a back, I think I'm going to lean towards Damian Williams. I think he's the better PPR back. But both are, viable on the slate. Damian at 4.9, McCoy at 4.4. What are those snaps like for, let me look at Kansas City really quick. McCoy went all the way down to 10%. Wow, okay. So if that's going to continue, I didn't know he had played that few snaps. So if McCoy's going to continue to be basically phased out, then we got to consider Damian Williams here. Played on, 72% of the snaps, then yeah, I think he's a very solid cheap play here. Again, with Mahomes back, that's just a huge boost to his fantasy value. So, I think we got to consider Damian Williams at 4.9K. I do kind of like him. The cheaper options, again, I kind of want to cross up McCoy if he played that few snaps. I just can't go there. Ronald Jones is interesting here for Tampa Bay. So it looks like they're going to give him the lead back role. What were his? Let me take a look at his snap counts last game. So he played on 53% of the snaps. I mean, they still will use a little bit of Peyton Barber and Dare, but it's a good sign that they're going up and that Bruce Arians said, he's a starting running back going forward. Now, this matchup, obviously, very, very good. He had, 18 carries that last time out at 4.3K. I think he's a really solid, cheap value play. So there's a lot of good running back plays on the slate, in my opinion. guys at the top and some cheaper options as well. Ty Johnson, I don't know if we'll go there against Chicago. Ty Montgomery would be a guy we could look to if Le'Veon misses. I think that's basically it. So yeah, let's review again for running back at the top. Christian McCaffrey, if you can get that salary, I think he's safe. Kamara, if he's gonna have a normal workload, I do like him a good amount. And then we get kind of the mid-tier guys. So really for me, at the top, it's kind of CMC and Kamara. In the mid-range, I like Le'Veon. Samuels is decent. Todd Gurley. One of those two Arizona running backs will probably have a good day. Devonta Freeman, solid. And then we get to the cheaper plays like Singletary. Again, Cleveland's defense, rushing defense at least, is they've allowed the most, 141 rushing yards a game, and he's getting involved a good amount here on the last couple of games. So he's definitely viable. Let's see. And then Ronald Jones as well as a cheap play. 4.3K. They said he's the starting running back going forward. It's a great matchup here against Arizona. So yes, there are a good amount of value or running backs in general that I like on the top end, in the mid tier, and then a few of these cheap guys for sure. So that's kind of it for running back. Let's move on to wide receiver. Michael Thomas at the top. Again, you really can't get a better matchup here at home against Atlanta. You can 100% pair him with Drew Brees. Love that pair for GPPs. I just think that it has huge upside. Again, the concern is, can Atlanta score enough to keep it close? Tyreek Hill gets a big boost here with Patrick Mahomes back. He's very much viable. These top wide receivers are all in great spots. Like Mike Evans against Arizona. Yeah, sign me up. Julio in a game that Atlanta should be trailing in. Yes, I love his upside. Godwin, again, either Tampa Bay receiver. You got Cooper Kupp. Like, a lot of these guys are just in great spots up top. So the upside's huge in these guys. And this is why for GPPs, 100% you can fade McCaffrey, because a lot of these receivers have huge upside in great matchups. So really, I have nothing negative to say about Godwin, Julio, Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, Michael Thomas. It's just, can you fit these guys in your lineup? You're going to have to, play some value guys. If you can feel comfortable with a couple of those value guys, then for sure try to jam one or even two of these guys in. They have enormous upside here at the top. Devonta Adams, too, at this price at 6.9K. In his first game back, he played in 85% of the snaps. We just know he's going to get targeted a bunch. And at a deflated price at 6.9K, I think he's very viable. We know he has huge upside. So, yeah, I do like Devonta a good amount there as a kind of a discount from those top guys. This next tier of wide receivers I'm not super, super high on. Allen Robinson, it's just Trubisky has been so bad this year. Marvin Jones Jr., it's a tougher matchup. I don't know if I'll chase that. Odell is at a really cheap price point. It's just this game in general I don't want a whole lot of pieces to. But man, 6.1K for Odell, that seems really cheap. Let's see. Calvin Ridley, if you can't get to Julio at 5.4K, he's kind of now the de facto number 2 with Sanu out of there. Jamison Crowder, I always think is viable because Sam Darnold just loves his slot receivers. So he's very much in play there at 5K. Cooks is out, so I'll talk about Josh Reynolds here in a sec. He's probably one of the top value plays of the day. Devontae Parker with no Preston Williams is now the clear-cut number 1 receiver. So at 4.8K in a game that should be trailing, don't mind him. You could pair him with Fitzpatrick for a cheap stack. The Cincinnati receivers are both underpriced as well. Tyler Boyd as well as Auden Tate here at 4K. The concern is they're playing with a backup quarterback, but their price tags are very, very cheap. So Boyd, Auden Tate, both guys are going to get targeted a lot in a game Cincinnati should be playing from behind in. 14 and 9 targets the last couple games for Boyd. And then you have Auden Tate at 4K, who's had 11, 6, 13 targets. So, yeah, both those guys very much viable as cheap plays. The other Green Bay receivers with Devontae back, I don't necessarily know if I want to go there. Let's see, what else? So Josh Reynolds here at 3.8K, I think he's again going to be one of the top receivers here. The Rams they play 3 wide receiver sets basically the whole game, and at 3.8K, he's going to get involved a good amount. So I think he's very much viable. I think he's again one of the top value plays of the day for sure. Ted Ginn Jr., more of a boomer bust play, but it's a great matchup here against Atlanta. Let's see. Other options. A guy like Russell Gage is going to kind of take over for that Mohamed Sanu role. He got 7 catches on 9 targets for 58 yards. He's very much viable at 3.4K. But I think that's kind of it. So, like I said, there's a couple value guys. I talked about these wide receivers, and then those, those guys up top here. It seems like all those guys up top have just great matchups. Now we get to tight end, and tight end's very tricky. Not a whole lot that stands out. Obviously, Kelsey at the top, if you can get there with Mahomes back at a deflated price. I think he's very, very safe. It's just, again, can you get that salary to get him? Austin Hooper, another guy that just gets involved so much, a game that they should be trailing in. There should be some points scored in this one. Definitely like Austin Hooper again, but will you have enough salary? And then we get to kind of the cheaper plays. So Jared Cook with Drew Brees back is viable at 4.1. Let's see what else. Olsen is okay at 3.6K. We know he's going to play most of the game. I think he's viable as well. A guy like OJ Howard's coming back. He's cleared to play. I actually don't mind him here. We've been wanting to target tight ends against Arizona all year. I know he's had a very down year this year, but he's still, when he played, he was playing like 75, 80% of the snap, so he's still going to be out there a lot. And in this matchup, if he's not going to be limited, I think he's a really solid, cheap tight end play. You can look to Gesicki with all those Miami injuries, right? No Preston Williams now, so he got involved more offensively, so he's viable as a cheap play. I think that's really it, though. So, like I said, tight end, kind of tricky. There's a couple of those cheap plays, and then, if you can get to those, those guys up top, you can obviously play them, but, you're going to have to play some, value guys to get them in there. And then finally, defense. So defense, there's honestly not a whole lot of, great plays, in my opinion. You do have Baltimore on the road going up against the backup quarterback. They are listed at 4K, though, so I think they're okay. The Saints at home, I don't mind it there at 3.7. Let's see. What other options are here? But I always when I'm choosing defenses, I always lean towards trying to get a home defense. Like the Bears at home at 3.1K. If Stafford misses that game, then I think the Bears would be one of the top defensive plays. Again, the Jets at home at 2.7K. Don't mind that. Even the Browns at 2.5. So kind of looking at some of those home defenses, home cheap defenses, are where I'm looking at least as of right now. Again, kind of Browns, Jets, Bears possibly. So that's kind of where I'm looking at for defense as of right now. But yeah, I think that's really it. So as far as game stacking goes for this slate, I think my favorite is that Cardinals Tampa Bay game, just because there's going to be very little defense scored. There's a lot of viable plays, guys up top. Those Tampa Bay receivers. You also have a cheaper Ronald Jones, who this is going to be the go-to guy on the Arizona side. I still like Kyler Murray. I'm a huge Kyler Murray guy. Those one of David Johnson or Kenyon Drake I think is going to have a big game. You could always look to Larry Fitzgerald as a mid-tier play. So there are some pretty appealing plays in that one. And then Falcons Saints too. I know those are the two two highest over-unders of the day, I believe. But yeah, I think there's definitely some pieces in this one as well. Again, Kamara, if he's going to get that full workload, I like him. Obviously, Drew Brees, Michael Thomas pairing, you can't go wrong there if you can get that salary. And underpriced Matt Ryan in a game that should be trailing, I kind of like. You can pair him with Julio, or you can pair him with Austin Hooper, who's just getting involved a lot offensively. Don't mind Devonta Freeman either. So if I'm game stacking, I think those are two where I would look to the most, at least. I know they're the highest over-unders, but I just like a lot of pieces in those games as of right now. So I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you have been enjoying the content, would really appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe. Again, if you want to get entered into the giveaway, all you have to do is a like and a comment in the video. It's one to the giveaway. I'll be back for another video to break down the Sunday night showdown slate. Probably have that up sometime tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. If you guys are interested in NBA, I already have my my video up for Friday slate, and then I'll have another video up for Saturdays as well. So yeah, that's it. Thanks again for coming and checking the video, guys. I really appreciate it, and I will see you later.